This is Next Radio.
With Broadcast Bionics, innovative solutions for creative people.
Good morning. Not an intimidating space at all. So I'm here because of two conversations, really. One with Matt Deegan, one with Gloria Abramoff, both very clever people, much cleverer than I am. I'll tell you more about those conversations later. 9 minutes, 8 minutes 45 now, 2 clips, 3 pithy takeouts. More on those later. For those who don't know me, spent 23 years in BBC Local Radio. Always wanted to run Radio Manchester, ended up there, got a Sony, got a Gillard, was Tony Wilson's boss. That was pretty cool. But then various things happened. One was delivering quality first. And I thought, do I want to stick around and be a whinger about lower budgets and centralized station sound and shared programming? Or shall I get out and do something different at the age of 43 as I was then? So I set up an indie. Land of Milk and Honey, obviously making loads of shows for the BBC and lots of other people. Not quite how it was. Yes, I've made some shows. I made a series of Men's Hour for Tonic. Helen and Ollie, I made a show for Trevor Dan with them for 5 Live. Some Radio 1 docs with various people, including a show about Doctor Who. That was my first commission. That was a bit of a childhood dream to make a show for Radio 1 about that. Quiz show for Radio Wales, and even running silent discos and 80s nights in Manchester. So you kind of do whatever you can do to make some money. Hence the first conversation with Matt Deegan in my early days as an indie when I rang him and said, what do you do when there's no work? He said, you pick up the phone and you hassle people and you hustle people. So that's what I did. And the first person I called was Phil Maguire from the Prison Radio Association. Now, the PRA has had quite a lot of press recently. It's won some awards. It makes some great programming. And my first pithy takeout for you is always say yes, worry about it after, if you're just starting up as an indie. Because for me, it was a very unusual place to be. I'd never thought about working in prisons. Frankly, I did it because I was a bit desperate for the work at the time. But it's one of the places that's most taught me new things since I left the BBC. I'd love to play you some of the 15 to 18-year-old lads that I work with and the brilliant content they make. I can't because prison radio is only allowed to be broadcast within the cells in jails. There is some audio that's been cleared that's on the PRA website. I'll just play you a little sample of
It
that
all
now.
started a while ago when my dad got murdered. I haven't come to terms with his death. Depression hits me every day in my life, to be honest, since then. I wake up and I just feel down, just hating life, hating people in life, not coming to terms because my dad's death's unresolved.
My body knew before I did that I was not alone.
National Prison Radio Book Club.
Join us for an Arctic expedition that goes badly wrong. It's about a man left all by himself. Or is he? Book Club presents Dark Matter, a ghost story by Michelle Paver.
Book Club.
Monday to Saturday nights at 10:30.
It might take more to get that euphoric buzz, whatever it is that you're looking for, but it doesn't take a lot more for your heart to stop.
It was awful. I knew it would be dangerous because I know taking drugs is dangerous, really.
It's a dead road. It would eventually lead to your death or like losing everything. As soon as you see the picture in the mirror, better for everyone.
Don't mix drugs.
For more information, talk to your prison substance misuse team or any member of staff.
So available in every cell in the UK, or most cells in the UK, with a massive reach because it's by prisoners, for prisoners, facilitated by some really talented radio people that I'm privileged to work with every day. But also, one of the things that I learned by saying yes to that rather unusual job, it's actually moved me slightly left. I think as you get older, you get a bit more right-wing, and then working with people who've had the most astonishing real-life stories early in their life, it actually grounds you a bit more. It makes you a bit more centre. The other thing it's done is made me feel paternal, which is a very strange new experience for me. So that's the PRA and the amazing work they do. My next conversation was with Gloria Abramoff, which those of you who know her, she speaks very directly. She's the new CEO of the Radio Authority. It's going back a bit. The Radio Academy. And Gloria said to me, what are you doing all the things you used to do before? You've run radio stations, you've made documentaries. Radio gives you amazing transferable skills. You should look at doing stuff elsewhere. So that's what took me to South Sudan on a recommendation. I've been there for 20 days. I got back about a fortnight ago. I'm going back on Saturday. South Sudan, for those who don't know, is a country that was about 2 million people died as a result of civil war over 20 years. Gained independence 3 years ago from Sudan, so now 2 separate countries. And then sadly at Christmas, more trouble, more unrest started. Now about 1 million people live in those kind of camps, internally displaced people. And there's an amazing organization called Internews. Internews run 3 different operations in South Sudan. One is community radio stations in lots of the states. The ones that are grayed out there are the ones that are currently closed down due to the unrest. They also run a project in those camps where they take out quad bikes with speakers on. The quad bike parks up. They play important information to people in the camps who gather round. Then it moves on to the next location in the camp and so on. So it's radio without any transmitters. This is in a country where the literacy rate is something like 30% due to the disruption in the schooling due to the war, an area where radio ownership is only 28%. Nobody has tellies or computers. And radio is always listed as the most reliable source of information. The reason I'm there is to help transform a radio station in Juba, which is the capital. They want it to be the Clyde or the capital, if you like, of Juba ultimately. It's called iRadio. Lots of NGOs established radio stations in the last 5 years to encourage people to vote for independence, to give out information about the peace process. Now they need to transition to commercial radio operations. My second rule, after saying yes, always hang out or try and hang out with people you normally wouldn't. Yeah, hanging out in a young offenders institute is something that was quite new to me, and I've learned a lot from the guys I've worked with there. Working in South Sudan is something else that has changed me quite a lot in the last just the 20 days I've spent there. Let's play you a bit of iRadio.
You're right, my brother. War is bad. War is not good in a country. We have just come out of the war. Every South Sudanese has experienced what is war, except those who are not yet born. But those people, even a baby now, is experiencing the effect of the war, because if you look at babies now being beaten by this rain outside and there is no shelter in some areas, then that is very bad for that child.
Hello, it is 6 o'clock. This is iRadio News in Brief. Let's have a look at what is coming up in our full news bulletin at 7 o'clock. I'm Helen Toby. The government has signed a technical cooperation agreement with the People's Republic of China.
المنظمة الطبية الخيرية أطباء بلا حدود قالت إنه في تراجع ملحوظ في عدد الحالات الكوليرا الجديد في جنوب السودان في الأسابيع الأخيرة.
Hello, Mom. How are you? You're not giving any news. What's up?
My son, there is no network available and I don't have airtime since...
But no, Mom. Don't you know that we have the network for South Sudan? Gemtel, the network that is always on. And guess what? They have Ziada for every recharge. When you buy for 5 SSP, you will get 5 SSP bonus airtime. That bonus will give more talk time. Believe me, Gemtel is a network that you can trust.
Oh my God. Hang up now, sweetheart. I can't wait to buy my new SIM pack now and talk to you all day and night for free.
The ads are just as good as they were on those stations I mentioned before 20 years ago. That's Memo, who presents the Drive Time show. Here's their state-of-the-art talk back when I was there. Tell him be short. They have now got a Skype computer between computers they're starting to use, but sometimes holding that up to the window in that shipping container converted studio you can see on the screen is the best way of getting a message through early. So real challenges there. They went straight from having no phones at all to having mobile. There are no landlines in the country. Communications between the different cities are very difficult. But the real issues are for the journalists there. That's a real headline from the time I was there. The government arrested everybody from the newsroom from another radio station, kept them in overnight because they broadcast a story the government were unhappy with. And the station was off air for a few days. So helping transform that radio station into a commercial one over the next at least 2 years, I'm going to be out there quite a lot. It's going to be quite a challenge, I think. And that leads me to my third rule, which I need to read because I only wrote it on the train yesterday, but it suddenly came to me that this was a bit of a learning point for me. Don't be a Virgo, be a Chesley Sullenberger. Now, I know that might only apply to a 12th of you, but Virgo people are typically quite critical. I don't believe in all that bollocks, but you know what I mean. Rule-based, single-minded, some of the stuff that actually makes quite good radio programmers. Chelsea Sullenberger was the guy who landed the plane on the Hudson, a couple of years ago. And I just want to finish with a quote from him, because I know I'm out of time, which We sometimes, one way of looking at this might be that for 42 years, I've been making small regular deposits in this bank of experience, education and training. And on January the 15th, that balance was sufficient so I could make a very large withdrawal. I think in radio often, we all of us, however long we've been doing it, have spent time depositing stuff in that bank because radio makes us small masters of lots of different things. And we forget on the outside how transferable those skills are. And hopefully they'll keep me working well in that environment, quite a challenging environment for the next couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Next Radio.
With Broadcast Bionics, innovative solutions for creative people.